What's up, Pine Logical? Gabe Baker back again. So, today we are going to be talking about what exactly says in that title right down there. Know thyself. What does it mean to know yourself? But this is an example, okay? So, I'm going to use myself as an example. So, over the past couple weeks, I have been trying to understand what it means to be able to find balance with myself. And this definitely is an example of that because over the past couple weeks, there was a point in time where I felt really rocky. It felt like almost everything that I was thinking about or trying to do kind of was crumbling down around me. It kind of really felt like I was kind of going delusional, a little bit crazy. I was questioning a lot of different things. But this kind of made me think about it to the point to where it was showing me to where if I have unbalance, that I could find the balance again. It seems like it really correlated really well, and this definitely was an experience that I definitely had before. This kind of seems to happen almost about at the same time almost every year, I feel, but this one definitely felt really different. It definitely felt a lot more fulfilling to be able to do that. So then last week, I kind of pretty much, it turned into a complete 180 to where all of a sudden I was kind of going through a whole introspection period, a reflection mode. I was being able to actually kind of look at everything a lot differently and seeing a lot of different things from bigger perspectives and a whole bunch of different perspectives, especially since I was questioning everything. I pretty much came to the point to where I had to be able to look at everything that I was doing and be able to make sure to look at it at a different perspective of how it all correlates and comes into balance. So being unbalanced gave me the chance of actually being able to find the balance that I was looking for, exactly what I was asking for. So, since I said I was going to use myself as an example for know thyself, this gave me a really good opportunity to kind of really tune in with myself a little bit, kind of get to know myself a little bit better, and especially the things that I was forgetting about, or even the things that I definitely was not taking more to heart that I definitely should have. So, I am nurturing, compassionate, sympathetic, empathetic, adventurous, social, creative, inventive, and I definitely was like this even like back when I was younger. These were the aspects that definitely I have still kept on, just because that these aspects about myself I care about the most, because I am super nurturing, just because that I want to see people be comfortable. I want to make sure that people feel safe regardless. Like that's the entire thing about when it comes from me being nurturing is especially that aspect of being a nurturing person to people who definitely need it, especially around the time. I'm not nurturing all the time, but I definitely know when to use it and when not to use it. But nurturing is usually one of the bigger things that I hold on to. Being compassionate, like you got to show people compassion sometimes. People really need that. People really need that sense of being told that it's going to be okay, even if it seems like everything is just crumbling out down around them. And I love to be able to help people do that. I'm sympathetic and empathetic by nature. These are just things that I've always been, just because that when people are really feeling down, when they are really feeling in a really dark place, I give them sympathy. I want to make sure that I can give them that point to where they know that they're going to be okay. The same thing as being compassionate, and being empathetic is I'm so understanding about almost anything. Really, I really am. I have a good sense of being able to know when I can understand things, and knowing that I can always understand them, but I don't always have to relate to them. But especially since I understand specific concepts that people go through just with different contexts, that is something that really broadens out my own horizons when it comes to being empathetic. I'm an adventurer by heart. There's always something about me wanting to go off and do things. Is always something that I've always wanted to do. It definitely dwindled a little bit when I was in my teenager years, and especially as I got past high school and stuff, that it definitely dwindled a little bit to where I was, all these things that affected me as a teenager kind of definitely fought back against a lot of these things. I never used to be social as much as I am really now. I'm a really big extrovert compared to how much I thought I was actually introverted, and I'm definitely not. I'm definitely really social, and I'm very extroverted to be able to talk to people about almost anything, making sure that I can even just speak my voice, be me. That's the thing that I like about being social. I love people. I love being able to talk to people. I love the things and conversations that people can bring, especially if I can want to go out of the way to do that, which half the time I really do. My creative aspects have always been there, and at least in some point, shape, or form throughout most of my life, I've always been creative. I've always wanted to make sure that I could create something for people. I wanted to make sure that I could create a future for myself. I wanted to make sure that I could be creative in a lot of different aspects to be able to give me a good different definition about how I can go about things and turn almost anything into a creative aspect, and I'm super inventive too, to where it's like I come up with ideas on the spot sometimes. Sometimes I think about way too many ideas, more than I definitely probably should. But the idea of me always constantly being inventive about new ideas, new things, some things that you actually can create, regardless of what that might entail, I'm always on top of that as much as I can. And everybody's a dreamer. That's the very last thing too, is that it's like I'm a big dreamer. I got big dreams for myself, and most people usually do. But it's like I've held on to some of these dreams for so long that it's just like it feels like nothing can stop me at some points. And I feel like when it comes to me being a dreamer, I'm always constantly chasing that. I want to make sure that I can get to my dreams about what I want to do, my dreams, my goals, my aspirations, everything that I want to do. Everybody has this, but especially when it comes to me, I really make sure that I take that always into consideration. The big thing about me was because that I was always somebody who was really involved into fantasy, science fiction, all that other stuff. And it's these aspects of liking fantasy was the thing about me always knowing that we are our own hero, our own anti-hero, and our own villain. I resonate with all three because everybody wants to be the hero of the story. There's things and qualities of a hero that are always taken into iteration throughout multiple things, what you might consider fantasy or science fiction or anything like that. And the hero aspect is always something I've resonated with, because that I liked that idea of being able to be the person to be able to help people, the person to be able to fight off some things that most other people really don't want to, or have to take the risks that a hero usually has to take. And especially even when it comes to the anti-hero still does that, but a lot of things are also taken into his own consideration too, and especially for mine. Like, I fight for the things that I definitely want to fight for, and I'm going to make sure that it happens no matter how I do it. Even if it does turn into a big mess, I'm going to make sure that I can at least still get it to what I want, and also kind of pretty much bring that balance that the anti-hero kind of always brings. And especially when it even comes to the villain. The villain aspect of any fantasy thing, anything like that, is like I always have resonated with them too, just because that villains go through a lot of things mentally, and also for like why they do some things is like just because that they're always feeling some sort of heavy emotion onto them. And yes, that they're always constantly bringing chaos and destruction everywhere, but usually they always kind of end up giving themselves like their little redemption moment to kind of like not see themselves as a hero, or not see themselves as a villain. But I only take that very smallly considered, just because I'm not always trying to be the agent of chaos, the path of destruction, or anything like that. Like, there's the specific things and aspects of a villain that I do find intriguing. So yes, I resonate with all three of these things, and especially when it comes of what I am, the nurturing, compassionate, sympathetic, adventurous, and all these other things, like they really tie into this hero, anti-hero, villain, or anything like that. So as I was getting older, though, like throughout my teenagers, like the darker aspects were definitely coming in a lot. I was constantly having an increased thing of anxiety, because I was always worrying about my future consistently, about being able to kind of be that person that I wanted to be, even though I had to really be able to fight my own aspects. I had to fight my own mind. I've had to be able to make sure that I can fight other people's opinions and other things like that too, just to be the person that I am. I did end up becoming a little bit less social interactive, just because that I felt pain of being able to have to express myself to be the person that I am. I always felt, obviously, that I didn't want to hide myself, but the thing is, I did it anyway. And that was a big thing that I really had to fight off, and especially when I started doing YouTube, is I had to fight that off. And I was definitely impulsive in a lot of cases. We all make irrational decisions. We all are really impulsive sometimes when we're really getting angry, we're really feeling our emotions. And so that I have definitely made some really impulsive decisions in a lot of cases that I'm not proud of. But of course, I'm always making sure that I can get better, that I can reach a better peak, that I can always make sure that I can get to a better point of where I want to be. Let's see, what's the next part? And my anger definitely was a big thing that really stopped me in a lot of ways too, just because that acting out of emotion, getting angry, and then when you have those impulsive cases or the impulsive decisions, that being angry is not going to help. Being angry is not always going to be the thing, but anger has definitely, I've been able to transmute that, but I'll get to that later. But anger has always been something I've been trying to make sure that I can always have control over, and obviously everybody's a little fearful. Everybody's got a fear of something, be it either actually something physical like sharks, the ocean, heights, or anything like that, or pretty much anything even internally. And mine fears were everywhere most of the time too. But like I had a fear of making sure that I wasn't acknowledged for my work. That was a big thing that I really had to really fight off for myself a long time, just to like any amount of work, anything that I do is that I had to make sure that I had to feel acknowledged of it. And if I didn't, then I'd end up sending myself into a little bit of a rabbit hole and I'd be spiraling. And then acceptance from people, because everybody wants to be accepted. Nobody wants to be judged or neglected. Like there's always a point in time to where everybody wants to be accepted, no matter how it really might pertain. And making sure that I could feel accepted, it was just kind of having to show off of the things that I could definitely prove to people. But do I need to prove it? No, I just need to show it. And that is something that I've definitely learned. And from people and in activities. And then of course overthinking. Like I'm so over analytical. I overthink so many different things that it definitely drives me crazy. And I could definitely see why I was feeling a little delusional a couple weeks ago, just because, especially for how much I overthink all the time, that it's just something that's really hard to control for myself sometimes. But I've really had to battle that. And the irrational decisions goes with the impulsiveness in a lot of cases, so they definitely tie in hand. And then judgment on myself, the way that I was like feeling about myself, like I was putting myself down. I was not giving myself that support system that I needed to make sure that I could give myself to that at all times, because we are so hard on ourselves all the time. And I was definitely so hard on myself like all the damn time, that I definitely was taking things into too much, especially when I'm overthinking, and then I'm judging myself on it for the things that I definitely should have done, the things that I shouldn't have done, and so on and so forth. That it's like, yeah, we all make mistakes. We all have made those irrational, impulsive decisions based out of anger, based out of sadness, based out of anything. That it's just like, when that happens, we usually end up judging ourselves a lot. And the comparability to others and the compatibility, like, because we always compare, and especially people in a lot of different cases, they find ways to compare themselves to either see of like how they've escalated or how they're de-escalating compared to other people. And we don't need to be comparing ourselves. I don't need to be comparing myself to anybody, because I am me. And that's something I really had to be able to fight off all the time, was not having to think that I need to compare myself to people for the way that they're going about their life, the way that they are succeeding, the way that they are improving their things, when I need to make sure I can improve in my own way and do it the way that I want to. And especially when it came to compatibility, be it either, platonic friendship, romantic relationship, anything like that, workplace, like there's always a thing to where I had to kind of give myself the compatibility. Like, do I belong here? Do I need to actually be talking to these people? Are these people actually giving me the things that I need, and am I giving them back? So the compatibility was always something that I was having to think about all the time. And then when I realized I shouldn't have been doing that, that's when I should have taken a lot into consideration for myself. But I didn't realize these until years later, of course. Like throughout most of my teens, I was not thinking about this at all. And then lastly, ignorance. I do have a fear of ignorance, but that's also the fear of ignorance that I put onto other people and the ignorance that I get from others. So it's a little bit of vice versa, but I always try my best to not have to think that when other people are doing that to me or about me or even just around me, that I always need to take into consideration about what I'm doing compared to what they're doing. And especially if I'm being ignorant, if I'm not seeing the things that I need to be seeing, if they're also not seeing the things that need to be seeing, it's not my job. But if I'm being ignorant, that is my job. I need to make sure that I'm not being ignorant and I'm not just looking at things in a big messed up picture when reality is going to slap me in the face and they're going to be like, no, you need to sit down and look at it from this point of view. You need to see it from this perspective. And of course, obviously continuing on from that, it did not happen until years later, and when these feelings were happening around my teenager years and even after that, I had that sense of lost. And especially when I even noticed that with my good things about who I am, the nurturing, compassionate, and adventurous, and all these other things, that I was being a people pleaser at some points. So then I had to make sure that I could get myself out of it. I had to make sure that I could be better for the people around me. I had to make sure that I could actually see myself for what I see myself and what other people see for myself, because I had that thing to where I was not always thinking that what people were telling me was actually true. And the perspective that we put on ourselves sometimes, the judgment that we put on ourselves sometimes, like that was not helping. And I definitely always felt lost. Like I was like, why can I not see the things that other people are seeing in me? And why can I not see the other things that people are also seeing in definitely a lot of different perspectives? There's so many different aspects. There's so many different things that I really needed to take into consideration. And when it came to people pleasing, I had to know when I should be doing it and when I shouldn't be doing it. And the thing is that when it comes to people pleasing, I do things for people just because I care. I care a lot about people, and it's like some people might find that really hard for themselves, but the thing is that it's like without people, how are we going to be able to really know ourselves? without being able to kind of show people that kind, compassionate, that you can be nurturing and all these other things that we need to be able to show people these at all times. But do we always need to constantly be people pleasing? No. Do I need to be doing that? No. Like, there's only the people that I want in my life that I definitely need to be doing that for. And I definitely need to define the way about how I could find the balance between people pleasing and actually giving them the support that they need, and like pleasing them and making sure that they're good, that they're straight, that they actually have a good support system, and making sure that I can please myself when it was definitely necessary. And most of the time I've not taken that into consideration until now, until pretty much last year, until pretty much 2 years ago, when I was finally able to start building on the things that I needed to start building on. And there was a lot of things that I needed to fix, a lot of this. But it obviously, around the end of high school, to where I was finally leaving, that YouTube finally came up. And YouTube brought this big spark in me. It really brought out my creative aspects that I really wanted to do. And it took a couple years before I even started doing it. It took a lot of being able to think about different perspectives and thinking about different things that I could make sure that I could do something with this, because this was calling my name all the time. I always feel called to do this, and I'm going to keep feeling called to do this just because that I like doing this. This brings really good passion to my life. And so with all of those feelings, with all of these traits, my good that I have always considered myself as, and even the darker aspects that have came into my life, I've been always trying to make sure that I could transmute them into something more, make sure that I can combine them and turn them into other feelings that I definitely needed for myself, because some of these darker aspects I don't want to keep. Some of these darker aspects, I need to be able to look at them differently. Like, so when it comes to molding them into something different, like I had to use my anger to kind of turn it into a go-getter attitude that I can, like, when I'm feeling angry, when I'm feeling frustrated, I'm going to put it in towards my passions. I'm going to put it in towards the things that I want to do. I had to make sure that I could develop a go-getter attitude just so I could get the things that I wanted for myself in my life. And then being more courageous and fearless, like that was another big thing too, because that I never really showed a lot of it when I was younger. But then I need, like, to get the things that I wanted to, especially when it came to YouTube, I had to be not okay. I had to be okay with showing people who I was. I have to be okay with showing people that it's like, yeah, some of these things that I talk about do kind of scare the piss out of me, but I'm not going to let it really affect me unless if I actually let it affect me. And so I have to make sure that I can be courageous and fearless about the decisions that I make for myself, be it either YouTube, be it either even just somehow in my physical reality, that I need to have that balance of courage and fearlessness. And I had to make sure that I was dreaming and envisioning more than what I was already dreaming for. And so that, especially when it came to YouTube, especially when I was younger, for the things that I wanted to do, I had to make sure that I could envision it. I had to make sure I could see it. I had to make sure that I could actually have this dream, have these goals, have these aspirations, and keep them on my toes at all times. So I can always take care and make sure that I can do the things that I want to do, and make sure that if I can see it, then I can do it. And if I know that I can do it, I need to make sure that I can see it. So there's a definite balance that I also needed to bring in for that too. And then especially building a different work ethic. I've been working since I was 15. I've had to kind of grow up at a lot faster, just because that these were just the aspects that I was taught. These are the aspects of throughout life that it's like you needed to know. You needed to have a good work ethic. You needed to make sure that you had a job. You needed to make sure that you're saving your money, like a different work ethic that I've had to make sure that I can constantly advance over and over and over again, so that it's not something that is just going to be a one-way street and that's the only way I do it. Because my work ethic is throughout the roof. Like, I can do anything if I put my mind to it. And yes, I don't know a lot of things. I don't have a lot of skills when it comes to almost everything, but I can always make sure to learn. I can always make sure to try. These are the things that have been applied to my work ethic, so I know that I can always do these things, and I know that I can learn and be the things that I want to do. The work ethic is something that I've always had to make sure that I can constantly keep advancing. And then being able to support others and myself. Like, supporting others has kind of been pretty hard for me, just because I never really knew how to actually handle people with their situations, the things that they wanted to do, especially if they were reacting out of emotion or anger or anything like that. Like, I had to make sure that I could be a good support system for people who needed it, who would want me to be a support system. I have to make sure I can listen, and I have to make sure I'm paying attention to the things that they're actually seeing. And I mean, I still struggle with that to this day. Like, actually making sure that I can be a good supporter for people is still something I struggle with, but I'm making sure that I can be that supporter that people need from me, especially if they are involved in my dreams, especially if I'm involved in their dreams, especially if I'm just involved in anything, shape, or form of where they expect me to give them a support system, I need to make sure I'm doing that. I need to make sure that I'm putting in that work. I'm putting in that effort, putting in the things that are necessary for me, because those things are important to me too. So, and then being able to support myself, because it's kind of hard to be able to support yourself sometimes. Sometimes you think that you really can't do it all by yourself. Sometimes you really think that you do need other people to give you a good support system. And you do, but you also don't. You also need to make sure to be comfortable with yourself when it comes to giving yourself a good support system if you're all by yourself. If you are somewhere in the world that it's only just you don't know anybody, you don't know people, that you need to still be able to give yourself a good support system. You need to be able to make sure that there are the people that are around you, that they are your support system, and you need to be the support system for them. So a give and take relationship. Not everybody really has that. Not everybody really takes that for what it should be, and people do take it for granted, but people will do it if they know that it's something that's important to them. And so, yeah, I still experience all of these things, and I have definitely fucked up. I've definitely fell in my face. I've definitely made mistakes that I'm not proud of. But my aspiration to get better, to be the person that I want to be, so I can actually help people to be the best version of them. And that was the big thing that I really had to notice for myself, is that I had to be better so I could help other people be better. If I wasn't going to be better, if I was going to be consistently stuck in this one-way street, this one-way type of thinking, that I knew that I couldn't help people be better. And it's hard because everybody's different, but there's always a lot of things that are the same. So I really have to be able to find that balance when it comes to helping people be better, so I can also be better. And then it works like that, vice versa. Like, that's why I like people so much. That's why I like to learn. That's why I love to do all these things that involve people, or even just having a conversation, even just being able to do YouTube and be myself, anything like that. Like, I needed to be able to make sure that I could be better so other people could be better too when I try to help them. And so it's all just about of how a new perspective that I really had to learn, of how I know that if I can triumph through my things, that other people can do that too. And me having to triumph over these darker aspects has really given me a good way of looking at myself, of being comfortable with myself. And I don't think I've ever been more comfortable with myself than I really am right now. Like, I have such a good tuning when it comes to knowing myself, a lot more than what I probably could have maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, anything like that. Because all my skills and traits are something that I'm really good at. So the ones that I have, I need to make sure that I can apply them, I can advance them, I can attune them to a lot better ways of resonating to people and helping people, so that I can build the future that I want for myself. I want to be able to make sure that I can help build people. I want to be able to make sure that the society that we do live in is going to prosper and not crumble. Because we all live in this world, and it's the world. I'm not saying just about where I am located or in my country. Like, the world is an entirety. I want to see it keep going. I want to see it escalate, because we all have things that we can integrate for one another. So we should obviously try our best to see how other people can do it, and see how we can do that ourselves and combine it and just do it. Because that's what I try to make sure that I can integrate in people's minds. That's what I try to make sure that I can tell people all the time, is that people are important. Like, we don't need to be so self-centered anymore to where it's only just about us. So after all that, I go by Gabe, right? But my full name is Gabriel, like the archangel, the biblical verses, and all these other stuff. Like, that is my full name. And I never really understood of what it meant, like the name in general, or what his job actually is in the Bible or anything, or Christianity or anything like that. Like, I never actually knew until probably about 2 weeks ago, to where he is the telecommunications, he is the supporter, he is the person that helps other people build, helps other people realize, helps other people do the best that they can by being able to communicate with them in any way, shape, or form. And I find it super ironic, because I never noticed that, and especially for who I am right now, about how I've always been a person that has been wanting to communicate, a person that's wanted to help with mass communication or telecommunications or anything like that. Like, duh, like, you know, like, I see the correlation with that now. And I mean, I never did beforehand, and it's honestly pretty crazy. So the next part of this is all about my passions, like what I want for myself, the things that I love to do, and the things that I'm just striving to constantly do better for. So when it comes to YouTube, that's a passion of mine. When it comes to making music, because I like making music. When it comes to doing TikToks, because I like being able to have TikTok kind of be like that small little YouTube thing to where I can say something for 3 minutes and then I can post a video about it. And then I have YouTube to where I just be able to talk about almost anything, and I can turn it into a good conversation. I can turn it into something like where I want to be able to talk about with things with people, bring in their opinions and bring in their ideas, because I like to hear other people's opinions. I like to hear other people's ideas too. Like, that's why I'm pretty open to being able to actually help people spread their stuff, sponsor some of these things, or even just talk about some of the things that they like to talk about, or their product or anything like that. Because if other people are going to help me, then I need to make sure I can help other people too. If people also want to grow and aspire to be and do that, like, we need to actually be able to help people do that. And especially for the people close to me, I always want to make sure I can do that. For the people that are close to me, that are making music, that are making their own business, that are trying to aspire to themselves to be the best version that they can be, like, that is what I'm passionate about. People are my passion. I love people. That's the thing, is like, we have so much to learn from one another that it'd be kind of dumb for us to actually kind of just push everything aside and everybody aside for like what they do, what they like, and what they want to achieve for the world. Because you'd be surprised about what people can actually bring to the table. You'd be surprised at the ideas that some people that you would never even talk to, never even think about it, to the point to where you have a conversation with them, you have an understanding of them, and then all of a sudden things turn into a pretty good, happy thing that ends up happening. And that's what makes me super passionate about these things that I do. But now, since I'm going to school next fall, I've had to make sure that I can see about what that can apply to me. And I am grateful for the person that gave me the idea about going to school. I'm super grateful for her at all times, just because that I did extensive research into public relations. That's what the major that I'm going into. And when I'm looking through that stuff and I'm realizing that the things that I'm already doing are pretty much already entailed of what public relations actually does, and more that I don't even know or I need to improve on, that was something that was handed to me on a platter. It literally was handed to me. And of course, beforehand, I was too busy playing with my food instead of actually eating my food. So now that I'm actually been able to have a good new perspective on what school can give me, because school can give me a lot of different opportunities. I can meet new people. I can apply so many different things to school that it's going to be interesting to see what I'm going to be able to do with this, because I have high faith in this, because there's just something about this that drives me crazy. And I mean in a good way, a really good way. And then when it even comes to my passions, that it's like I can apply my passions to school too. And it can also be applied to, and school can also be applied to my passions. There's just some good combination with this that really just makes me feel super good about this. And I don't know what the heck it's going to entail, because I'm not really sure what the heck's going to happen. But when I already have this good feeling, I need to make sure that I can build on these things. I need to make sure that I can actually apply myself, because this is something that I want to do for myself. So I need to make sure that I can apply, do the work, have commitment, and make sure that I have that determination to succeed in the way that I want to succeed on my own. And with all this increased perspective about this, it has given me an increased perspective about what I want for myself. Like I said, I want to help people. I want to succeed in my own way. And especially for what I want for myself, it's like, this already feels fulfilling enough for me to do regardless. The thing is that it's like, sometimes it kind of does really get to me at some points about how fulfilling this actually does give me. But then I have an increased perspective on it to where now I just feel fulfilled about it anytime I do it, because I like doing this. The fulfillment about me just being me and doing my passions, because I like doing this. I like helping people. I like being the person of who I am. That's the thing that really drives me to see that new perspective about what I want, because what I want is also for what I can support for my family, my friends, the people that are close to me, any of my relationships, or even what I can actually even give the world, because I want to make an impact on this world. I want to make a difference. That's the thing, that being able to do this, and not a lot of people can see how can you really make a difference, but I know I can make a difference with this by helping people have those tough conversations, those things that people don't really want to realize, to where I can kind of be that little reality smack in the face just a little bit, but I'm not actually going to make it to where it's going to be crumbling down, or you have to rethink your entire life's purpose or anything like that. Like, no, it's like, that's what I want to make sure that I can bring to the table, because I want to change things. And especially even if I do make money off this or not, even like when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to TikTok, when it comes to school, is that it's like, if I do, I'm going to make sure that I give back, because that's what I want. I want to make sure that I can supply everything that I need for myself and for the people that are close to me, but I also want to be able to give back. I also want to see and invest in the things that are actually going to help us in this world, and make sure that those things actually happen, because that's what makes me happy, is to be able to see everybody else succeed and be happy too. And not even just for the people that are close to me, but for everybody, our entire human society, because I want to see people evolve. I want to see people have a passion for the things they want to do. I want to see people actually have a great impact that they want to put on this world, because we are too busy trying not to make an impact when we should be trying to make an impact to make it better for what we already have. And thinking about that is like, how can we contribute? How can we do these things? How can we actually make sure that the world is going to keep increasing? How are we going to make sure that we can actually contribute in the ways that we need to contribute? Because everybody's contributing in some way, shape, or form, no matter what they're doing. Even if it is the flatline job, even if it is just working in manufacturing or processing or anything like that, like there's always a way that we already are contributing, but how can we contribute a little bit more? If you want to. This is not something that everybody wants to do, and that's completely fine. But I want to contribute. I want to make sure that I can contribute into the things that are important to me, and even when it comes to living in our society, that is important to me. And what I obviously want to be able to spread to others, to be able to tell people that you can do whatever the heck you want. You got to put the determination and the work ethic into it. You got to make sure that you know what you want, and that you can do anything, and you can do anything with that. Anything that involves about you trying to be the person that you want to be is completely fine. Like, sometimes I see like it's a little bit counterintuitive for how I think about things, but I mean, this is just what I want to spread to people, to help have other people go up and escalate just like as much as I am, so that they can also help me do the same thing, even if they do help me or not. And when I'm constantly trying to spread peace, love, and positivity, because that's what we need in this world. That's what other people need in their life. That's the thing that I want to make sure that I'm constantly giving to the people that are close to me, and even new people that I meet, or even people that I'm probably never even going to see again. Because making that difference and making that impact on somebody means a lot to me. And that's the thing that I really always enjoy when it comes to spreading peace, love, and positivity, is exactly that. And also being able to make sure that I can spread the support to people that do care for me, and even other people who do need it, even if it is just a small favor of helping somebody in the grocery store, or getting a cap off of something on their car at the gas station, like anything like that, because we need that. And I'm going to keep doing that until day's end. Until I die. That's what makes this so important to me, because I know that I can do this every day. I know that I can do that. And especially even when it comes to going back to my passions, that it's like, if I could sit on a stage and actually do this and help people, have a conversation with people, take other people's ideas and opinions and talk about them, or make sure that I actually have something that's worth people's time to actually think about or learn about, then I'm going to make sure I do that. And especially even if it does come to that point of where I know that I can do that on a stage, it comes to even like that with public speaking anywhere I go, I feel like I could definitely do it. I do need to make sure that I can increase on my clear communication. I do need to be able to make sure that I can be the one with tough skin and learn how to take, the backlash about a lot of different things, and I'm more than willing enough to do that right now, because I've been training myself to do that right now, to give myself that tough skin so I can do these things that I want to do. And then when it even comes to the public relations, is that the aspects of the things that I couldn't even do with that are literally endless. So it drives me crazy to think about how much I actually was really overlooking this, and it kind of makes me feel like a jackass some days. But now that I have such a good different perspective on it, that's the thing that I just want to make sure that is what it's imprinted on my brain at all times, with all these aspects of what makes me, and even my darker aspects and the things that I've transmuted them to, of the go-getter attitude and the courage and fearlessness and the support and envisioning more, the work ethic. Like, that's what I want to apply. So moving on to that is what I don't like, or what I don't like or want, and that can go to you about however you might think about that. When it really comes to what I don't like, it could be something super simple like pet peeves. I don't like tomatoes on everything. I don't like country music. I don't like a lot of things. But these are the more things that I really don't like, and I mean the bigger aspects. The biggest thing that I don't like is I don't like of how divided we are. I don't. it really bugs the crap out of me. Like, racism already brings more divided feelings that we already have. So that's obviously why I don't like that. And most people are probably going to agree with me on that. But even regardless is that it's like we are constantly divided. We are constantly fighting each other all the time. We are constantly just making sure that it's just harder for us to actually come together as a society, as a human race, that it just sickens me some days to actually have to think about the things that we really do to each other, be it either really minor or the major, massive things that actually happen in our world. And that's the thing that really drives me more about my passions, about why I like doing this, is because I want to bring people together. It seems almost impossible, and I understand that, but I'm going to make sure that I can at least do it in any way that I possibly can. I'm going to make sure that I can at least have people try to come to an understanding, no matter how much people are going to try to tell me that we're not going to come to an understanding, because I believe that this can happen. I believe that we can actually all move past the things that we just don't need to actually be arguing about and stop being so goddamn divided about freaking everything. And we have even come more divided just because that we are constantly self-centered. And it's not a bad thing that we have been more self-centered, because now we can actually focus on us, the self, knowing thyself. But the thing is that it's like some people have gotten so stuck in that they can't move past that. They can't build another bridge to see about how they can actually do that towards other people, or even see about how they can actually do that towards other things. And I understand that there are multiple ways about why people might not do that, be it either because that they've done so much, be it either because they're tired of getting hurt, be it either because that there's just so much that they're really scared about. And like, that's okay to be self-centered. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but comes to a point of time to where if we don't want to be so divided, we need to stop being so damn self-centered and be empathetic towards other people, be understanding regardless if we can't actually understand. These are the things that I don't like, or I do like, because I don't like those other aspects that is constantly driving us to the point of insanity sometimes. And yes, there are to the points where it's like, what do we really have to prove? What do we really have to prove to other people? And I mean, we don't really have to prove a lot. But if we want to be better, if we want to know ourselves, if we really want to be that person that we really want to be and be that better person so other people can be better around us, that we just need to show it. We don't need to prove it. We need to show it. If we want to make a difference, we need to show it. If we want to actually do something that makes an impact or a difference, we need to show it and do it. There isn't a point to where we just say it and we all agree, but we're not going to do anything about it. Like, if we want to do something about it, we need to do something about it. We need to show the effort that we want to put into it. We need to make sure that we are escalating all together instead of us. Half of us are like this and half of us are like this, when we can't ever just meet in the middle and all this push for betterment. All of us. Some people don't believe in our system, other people do. There's so much that could really entail about what you really have to prove, or how you're able to come together, or how we can not be so divided. But there are ways that I know that we can do it, and we just need to figure out how we can do it together. That's the thing. And there are probably a couple other things that I could really tie into this, but I think that the divide is probably the biggest thing that I don't like most of all. And that's the one thing that I definitely am trying to stop, or at least put an impact in so that it doesn't keep happening. So I can at least try to build off of that, and we can build together. This is all my truth. All of this. This is like the whole first part of this, to where it's like, this is the truth that I feel like I live by. And I do. But I do my best. Sometimes it doesn't always go the way I expect it to, but I at least still keep trying. I at least still keep doing. I at least still making sure that I can be better, so I can help other people be better too. And I just want to make sure that even all my passions that I do are going to make sure that they're put towards that. Even for what I do in school, all of that stuff, it's going to be so I can push towards that and be the person that I want to be, and see the world that I want to create, and invest the things that are important to me. So, moving on from that, there are a lot of different aspects that have helped me through this, and for other things that I have noticed for myself and for others. So I'm going to read them one at a time, and then I'm going to talk about them, and then we'll move on to the next one. So, as human beings, we have free will. We have free will, and a lot of people might not see that we do, that we don't, but we do have free will, because it all really just matters about what we really put the free will into. We have free will from choices to decisions for who we want around us and who we don't want around us, for what we want for ourselves and what we want for others. We have the free will to do it. Yes, there are consequences, but the thing is, if we know that there are still consequences, then we have to make sure that we understand it for what the cause was. Why are we doing it in the first place? Why did we make that decision? For the choices that were presented to us? Why are we making sure that we have the free will to keep the people who we want around us instead of the people who we don't want around us? And you need, like, people use that discernment as much as they can for when it comes to however you really want to use your free will. But when it comes to making selfish decisions, they aren't always the worst one. I'm going to tell you that right now. My mom is the one that really told me that, to where selfish decisions are not always the worst one. Sometimes it just helps for when it comes to what makes you happy, what makes you feel like you can actually feel comfortable or safe or trusting in other people. Is sometimes those selfish decisions of free will are the ones that actually do turn into a lot better things, really, that most people would realize. And then moving on from that is cause and effect, because with free will comes cause and effect. What we do and what the outcome might be. Sometimes we don't really need to be constantly worrying about what the outcome or what the effect is going to be. But no matter what, the cause and effect is always there. So when it comes to making free will, understand about the specific possibilities that might happen when you make that decision, when you do that one thing, when you make anything that you really want to see happen. You have to always understand the law of cause and effect, because that is the most important to us, because it still comes to the effect of said choices for decisions and etc. Next one would be perspective. Our thoughts shape our reality. They do. No matter how much you might want to fight me on that, they really do. So you have to make sure that you have a good perspective on things. Having a good positive mental outlook on the things that you want to come out for yourself, the things that you want to see, they will happen as long as you keep yourself in that positive mind frame. Because our perception is our reality. What we perceive is what we are constantly thinking. If we are constantly seeing negative around us, we might go to the point where we're constantly thinking negative all the time. And when it comes to perspective, that is why I'm such a realist at some points. Like, I don't like sugarcoating things, but I understand the necessary times when you should be sugarcoating things, when people are going through things, when people are just wanting you to listen and all these other things. But when it comes to the die-hard facts that people have when they come up to me for anything like that, I always try my best to see when I should be and when I shouldn't be. And most of the time I don't, just because the realest truths are the harder truths are the realest ones to listen to. And they're hard to listen to, but sometimes they're so simple. Some of the truths are so simple that even when it comes to just speaking about it and realistically as much as you can, that those are the simpler things that we can understand for ourselves. So make sure that you can have that positive mind state. Make sure that you are spreading that to other people, because people do need that in their lives, and especially for yourself. Keep yourself positive at all times so that you can get to where you want to go. Next thing that has really helped me is philosophy. Specific philosophies seem so basic. And the thing is that there's a lot of thought that goes into specific philosophies. And philosophy kind of ties in with my love of learning, because I love to learn about new things. I love to be able to learn about new skills that I can apply. I love to be able to think about some things outside the box more than I should have. And sometimes I'm thinking about them too articulately, when I could literally just be thinking about them in a very basic way. Sometimes the basic things, the practical thinking, is actually what kind of makes it a lot easier to be able to do so. And for when it comes to my love of learning, like, philosophy has helped me learn so much that I can take things into consideration, a lot of different things, be it either ancient philosophies, understanding the basic ways of our universe, and understanding people, and most importantly, ourselves. Because philosophy has helped me understand people. Philosophy has helped me understand myself a lot more, especially when it comes to just the basic law of cause and effect that always happens. That is something that is really important to me. And so I want to make sure that other people are learning that too, just as much as I am learning about things. The next thing would be leadership. Now, I never really saw myself as a leader until probably about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And the leadership aspects are what really drive me to be the person that I really am, because I do see myself as a leader, not to where I'm going to lead you and command you. No, I'm going to lead you into the way that we can all move forward. I'm going to be right there on the front line with you. That's my leadership quality. That's my leadership aspect, because we need to be able to be leaders for some things and not just be the one commanding them, dogging them, make them do it, when we need to be able to still take that accountability for ourselves and be a leader and still be on the front lines with people in that battlefield, no matter what that might entail. So I always wanted to try to be that person, and especially now that it's like I see it more than ever. Like, people who know who Joey Badass is, he's like the kind of like the head honcho of the Beast Coast group, but it's like I've always kind of seen myself and related to Joey a lot more than I really have to some of the other people, just because that it's like we all have this collective thing when it comes to about specific things. And I like to be that leader, that one to show people, that one to actually put in the effort and the work to see about how things might actually go if we just do them. The group efforts. Somebody needs to lead somebody along and at least help and guide and support along the way. A leader can do that. I can do that, especially for my own life. I can be my own damn leader. And especially for the people that are involved in my life, I can be a leader and still think that other people can lead too. Because there are times where other people do need to take the reins and when we need to take the reins. And there's, when to do that. Most people do. I know when I need to do that. Next thing would be running life like a business. Now, you can take this however you want. Some business aspects don't always correlate with life, but a lot of business aspects do correlate. Thinking about how your life is like a business, how you are able to promote yourself to others, what you can supply to others, how you are able to actually have a profit and keep going for yourself. And there's a lot of different business aspects that might entail. The aspects are what we taught of and how can we apply to it. And especially when it comes to foundation, we need to think about like our life's foundation, how it is like a business foundation. How are we going to able to make sure that we can stay steady? How are we going to be able to make sure that we can move along and still be prospering and still be going on ahead with other people, with the world, with the times, with being able to change? Foundation requires you to still be able to be embracing change at all times. You need to be able to change with your environment. Most businesses have to change with what is going on around them so that they can still keep going forward and still be a business. So our life is exactly like that. How are we doing that? How are we making sure that we have a good foundation for ourselves? How are we making sure that we can take care of our business, the time that we need to put into our business, the time that we need to take into our life, the things that we are putting into our body that is like, are they actually helping our business? That's how I like to be able to look at it, is like being able to run life like a business. It's because sometimes it is. Less perfectionism. That has been a big aspect that I've really had to let go of, because I am a perfectionist, but I'm not that big of a perfectionist, really. There are some things that I want to make sure that I'm 100 about, but I understand that not everything that I do can be 100. I understand that every day that I walk into work, I can't always expect that day to be 100% on top of everything. And because if we do that, we have set expectations, and then when those expectations are broken, we get pissed off. We get angry. We end up feeling like some things are just crumbling because we put some heavy expectations on being things 100%. And I promise you, they will not be 100%. As long as you continue and you walk out with the 70%, shit, a 60% is pretty good to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like walking at least with still a high end chance. As long as you're above 50, either it's gonna happen or doesn't happen, or it's gonna either will or won't. That is still something that we always need to expect when it comes to anything, and you can apply that to anything that you feel like is important for. Next thing is communication. Communication has always been important to me. It's always something that needs fine-tuning. It's always something that we can improve on. It's always something that we can escalate forward to, because we need good communication. We need good communication with ourselves, having to understand our body, having to understand our mind, having to understand everything that we have gone through. We need to have good communication with ourselves. But we also need to make sure that we have good communication with other people, actually putting in the communication about what we don't like and what we do like, the things that are important to us and the things that aren't important to us, the things that we don't need to take into consideration, the things that we really do need to take into consideration. There's a lot of things that communication can really help with, and communication is always something that we need to do. We are humans. That's how we communicate. We talk to each other. So we need to be able to actually do that in real life. We don't need to be constantly just communicating over something and then not have anything happen when if we want to communicate about it, if we need to communicate about it, we need to communicate about it. And the thing is that is really crazy is that I live in a small town. So I am very constricted and based on the constructs of what small and local groups are actually teaching us for communication because of everything around me in my environment, even in my school, and people that I know and their families, and how things around small towns spread like wildfire. Like expanding from small groups and local constructs, and then being able to expand to a wider audience, different people, different areas, different environments, because our communication is based around our environment, and we always need to take that in consideration. Not everyone is the same, but patterns do correlate all the time. There's always a pattern. There's always something that is still the same, no matter where we go when it comes to communication or people or environment. But we need to be able to look at the different perspectives that are brought to us that we can see actually happen in the communication. So we need to make sure that we are always improving it no matter where we go all the time. Next thing would be utilizing our skills and our traits, the traits that make us, the traits that are good for us, and the skills that we are already good at. We need to be able to utilize them to our best ability when it comes to knowing yourself, and especially for what you want to do. You can always improve on skills. You can always learn new skills. There's always new traits to learn. There's always everything that we can always utilize in our form at all times. And we just need to know how to utilize them, how we can improve them, how we can apply to things, and how we can make sure that it helps us make the things happen that we want to happen, so that we are not just pushing things to the side for some things and some skills and some traits that we are not actually taking into consideration, and we need to know how to utilize them to our best advantage. My communication skill is probably one of my better ones, so I need to make sure I can utilize it and improve it and tune it into the things that I need to make sure that it's used for to make things happen. I need to make sure that all of my other skills and traits of me being a go-getter, me being willing to learn, anything like that, like you need to be able to utilize it to your best way. And these will help you show what you can contribute. Your skills and traits are your individualism that make you you. The things that you are good at is what makes you you. The things that you are for your traits, or if you're nurturing, compassionate, caring, angry, whatever it might be, that's your sense of individualism. So make sure that you can show them, utilize them. And these do bring knowledge. We learn so much, we can always learn more, and we can make sure that the skills and traits that we have are always something that we can bring for knowledge for other people too. Next one is embracing change. We have to embrace it. I don't force change. I inspire it. I don't force people to change for me. People change at their own way, shape, or form. But the things that we know that we can change, we have to embrace them and make sure that we are building with that change. We have to make sure that we are embracing change no matter what, not constantly getting stuck in this whole nostalgia loop, not freaking thinking that things are going to be the same because they were the same before. We need to embrace change and expect things to be different, because we are always going to be stuck in that cycle if we don't embrace change. We have to be able to embrace the things that did happen so that we can change ourselves. Especially for me, I've had to let go of a lot of things so I know that I can embrace change. So I know that I can inspire it, because that is another thing that is something that I want to spread to people, is embrace change. And I'm inspiring you to do so. Like, you can do it at your own pace. You can do it however fast you really want to do it. There is no way that I'm going to control you about what you need to change, except just know that I can inspire it for you to do better for yourself, because you know yourself that you already want to do better, that you already want to change into a different person, that you want to have a different mindset to change, that there are always things that we can change, but we have to embrace it. We have to not be so scared of it. We have to make sure that we can be the change that we want to be for our children, for ourselves, for the people around us. We need to embrace change. Next thing is self-worth. It's always something that is important, and I've had to realize this really heavily for myself, for self-worth, that notice what you are worthy of. We are worthy of so many things that we don't think that we're worthy for. Yes, there are some things that we do need to change, that we do need to fix, but if you're willing to fix them and change for them, then you are worthy for them. I'm going to tell you that right now, and especially for the things that other people want for their self-worth, you have to respect that. Respect is the biggest thing when it comes to self-worth, is that you have to respect yourself and know that you are worthy of that, and also need to make sure that you are respecting other people because they want what's also best for them too. So we have to make sure that we come to that understanding when it comes to self-worth. And then when it comes to self-worth, you also have to think about the things that you have gone through. What have you achieved? What are you succeeding at? What are you making sure that you actually change for your betterment? These apply to your self-worth because these will help you even more to know that you are worthy of the things that you want for yourself, for your family, for your close relationships, for other people, for society. Anything. That is important. Next thing is music. Music has always been an influence for me. Always. Music has always helped me. Music has helped me shape my mental state a lot because I resonate with a lot of different music. I don't like country music. That's the only one I don't like. But I love heavy rock. I love rap. I really do love rap. And I love R&B, soul music, and alternative rock, a lot of different things. I like music because music helps you express. Music helps you feel those other feelings that other people are feeling. And some people think that they aren't, but they are. And music has always been something that has been there for me. And music is like that for everybody else too. And especially if you want to create music, like put a good message in there that makes it for you, so you know that your music is good, and then other people will resonate with that too. And I mean, you can use music however you want to. You can make it however you want to. You can listen to whatever you want to, as long as it makes you feel good, and you can still aspire and use that for your advantage. Then music has always been something like that. And that's why I like rap, because rap has given me that good outlook of have that go-getter attitude, because some people have gone through way worse than I have. And especially rap has definitely shown me that some people have gone through shit. And I mean shit. And even heavy rock and even alternative rock, all music types, it shows me you of how much people actually go through fucking shit. Crazy shit, stupid shit, so much dumb stuff that people don't want to go through, and what do? They apply it to their music and they get to where they want to go. That's the thing that really drives me super, super hard, is the influence and impact that music can bring to people. Next thing, accountability. We need to be accountable for our actions. We need to be accountable for our emotions. We need to make sure that we are accountable for the things that we do, be it either good or bad. We need to take that accountability and always keep that in our heart and in our brain for the things that we are accountable for. You don't need to be grieving over things that you know that you are accountable for, and you're just like, well, that's the end of the world, I screwed up. Like, no, take accountability for it, for sure. Fix it if you want to make sure that you can improve on it. That's you still taking accountability. You taking accountability for when you're realizing that I should not have done that based on a lash out of emotions or a lashed out on actions. You still taking that accountability is taking accountability. And you know what is important for you to take accountability for. I get mad at myself too. I do. For a lot of the things that I've done, I still get mad at myself about it. And especially for some things recently when I was feeling this whole thing of delusion and all this shit, that I was heavily getting mad at myself for this. And then I was getting super angry, and then I was getting frustrated. But like I said, that I know to how I can transmute that angry energy and put it into things that are necessary for me to show the emotion, to show my attitude, my go-getter attitude, to put that in there. Like, I still get mad at myself, but I need to make sure that I'm accountable for it, that I know that regardless of what I might have done, regardless of what you might have done, that as long as we take accountability for it and move forward and keep going at the pace that we want to go at for our betterment, then accountability is going to help you do that. It's going to make sure that you can take the actions necessary to fix things and to know what you are doing wrong. For your actions, for your emotions, and for your choices and decisions, you need to be accountable for those too. Your choices and decisions, or anything that you decide on. We all have multiple options. We all have multiple decisions that we can make, but we need to be accountable for the ones that we have already taken. The next thing would be lessons and cycles. There's so much to learn in life. There's so many things that we need to make sure that we're not repeating. There's so many things that are taken into consideration when it comes to the lessons and cycle that one person goes for, especially for the ones that I've had to learn for myself when it comes to breaking out of my darker aspects, fixing my habits that were hurting people or myself. Those are the things that we needed to fix. These are the things that I have needed to fix. Do we see them? Do we acknowledge them? And are we actually triumphing over them? that's the thing, is that we need to be able to come to that understanding of what our lessons and what our cycles constantly go through. And the thing is, we go through a lot of the same things almost every year. They just happen in certain situations in different contexts, but they won't keep happening if we actually notice the lesson and we actually know that that's around the time to when we've had this same thing before. Is that how are we learning from them, and are we doing so? We need to have that understandings that failures are lessons. It is not you giving up. It is not you falling on your face and that's where you're going to be. It's not you being all the way down there and that's the only place you're going to be. No, you are going to get to so much more of understanding that your failures are lessons. If you learn from them, you get better from them, you are already on a better track. I promise you, you really are. And then the triggers and habits. We need to know the habits that we have that are really bad for us, and even the habits that we still do that hurt other people. Those are the things that we always need to break. And especially understanding our triggers. Triggers are lessons. We need to understand what makes us triggered. Why are we feeling triggered? Where have we felt this before? What is something that I know that can help me move past this trigger so I know that I don't have to feel this trigger again? Because we're still going to get triggered no matter what. But we need to make sure that we have that understanding about how we can move past that and be better for that. And also the lessons and cycles of your traumas. We have all gone through shit in our own way, our own context, our own concepts. We all experience a lot of the same concepts, just in different contexts, because people go through different things. People experience different things. People experience so much pain and anger and anguish and all these other things that it's just like we understand of what that means. But not everybody goes down that same path about how they did it. But we still understand of what it means to feel shame, guilt, all these things. These are we all understand that. And so we need to understand and acknowledge our traumas so that we can move into that place that we want to be for ourselves. Because if our traumas are going to hold us back, then we're not really going to ever really try to move forward in the way that we want to. And understanding your traumas, you need to go at your own pace. That's not something that anybody really has any control over except you. You have control over your traumas and how it affects you and how it still affects you to this day. There's always a way to get past it. There's always a light that's way better than that darkness that you've been in. And so you just need to understand about how you can do that for your own betterment. Next thing is self-control, and that goes with lessons and cycles. And self-control can be applied to so many different things, be it either literally your habits or your triggers, handling your emotions, handling pretty much anything that requires you to have self-control so you don't lash out on yourself or other people. And I was fasting for the first time that I've ever fasted before, like 2 days ago. My first day I did 17 hours, and my second day I made it a full 36 hours, or second time that I made it a full 36 hours of fasting. Fasting has shown me the aspect of self-control. There's a lot of things that fasting can do for you, be it either detox, body, losing weight, or having that self-control. And that's the one thing that fasting really taught me. And I know the things that I definitely need to have more self-control in. My emotions, my actions, anything that requires me to have more self-control, be it other vaping. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I had to make sure that I had self-control to be able to quit that. I mean, I still vape, and I know that that's even also a whole other problem in its own, but I need to make sure that I can have self-control for that. You need to make sure that you have self-control. It's necessary. It's hard, and it's not something that a lot of people take lightly, but self-control is the best mastery for knowing yourself. It truly is. Self-control. Next thing would be patience. I understand what it means to be impatient. Believe me, you are talking to King Impatient over here. And I mean, I'm not as impatient as I used to be. I'm actually way more patient than what I used to be as a child. I used to be a really impatient child. That's why I would get angry and frustrated, because I was impatient. And patience has shown me so much when it comes to how we can be patient with ourselves, how we can need to be patient for our grinds, our goals, our dreams. The things that we are working on require patience and hard work. The patience that we need to be able to apply to other people, be it either our children, either people that are in our vicinity at all times, that we need to have patience. Not everything that we do is just going to happen. And even when it comes to making a difference or an impact or you doing that's what is best for you, you need to have patience, because it can't always just happen in a day. Things require it to take time. Time does actually help us. We don't always need to be fighting time. Time usually does end up helping us in a lot of different ways that we really need to understand. And that is what patience has taught me. And patience applies to everybody differently. It just all depends about how you can be patient with yourself. Next thing is faith. The faith that you have in yourself is what is a really important aspect and a definite important aspect for me. Because if I didn't have faith in this, then why would I be doing this? If I didn't have faith in other people, then how can I expect people to help me when I want to help people? If I can't have faith in our entire human society that I want to see all expand, that we can grow together, like, you need to have faith that it's going to happen. There's a lot of things that faith entail, and whatever helps you, gives you faith, whatever helps you have faith, whatever helps apply to it, is that faith is always necessary. We need faith in ourselves. We need faith in our dreams. We need faith in others. We need faith in our world that we are going to escalate and get better. Otherwise, we're never going to think that we're going to get better. We're never going to have faith in our fellow human, our fellow person, people around us, or even in the world entirely, if we do not have faith that we can be better than what we were before, be it either singularly or collectively. We need to have faith. Good needs evil to flourish. Without evil, we would not have good. Without the bad things that have happened, we would not have the good things that have also happened. So we need to always take that in consideration, that it requires a balance. Faith needs balance. Good and evil, that's part of the balance. Also part of it, cause and effect. And the commitment. Faith applies to your commitment, no matter what that might be. But you always need to make sure that your commitment is always going to be something that's going to help you. And having faith in your own commitment, having faith in the things that you want to do for yourself, that is the commitment that you always need. And faith will help you do that, no matter how you might entail of what faith might actually be to you. Faith. Next thing is trust, and forgiveness. We need to have trust in ourselves at all times. We need to be confident in our free will decisions that we do. We need to be confident in our communication and trust in people that in good due time that things will happen. Sometimes, yes, we are over-trusting. I have definitely been over-trusting, and yes, I've gotten bit in the ass for that. But I don't like it to where how I can think that I don't need to be able to have trust in people. Otherwise, we're never going to have trust in people. I'm not going to have trust in the people that are close to me when they expect me to have trust for them. And that's the thing, is that we need to have trust in people. We need to have trust in our own abilities. We need to have trust in the things that are going to actually happen are going to happen if they are necessary for us to do so for our own betterment. And we need to be forgiving. Yes, shit happens. Yes, people hurt us. And yes, we hurt other people too. But we need to be able to forgive ourselves for the things that we have done, for the things that have happened to us in our life. And we need to make sure that we are forgiving for other people for how other people might have treated us. Regardless if you want to do it or not, there's always a sense of forgiveness that we need to be able to do, or in some way, shape, or form always have in our reality. Forgiveness is important. You need to be able to forgive yourself and forgive others. And and trust will always bring that too. It will. Next thing is a support system. Everybody needs a support system. You need a support system for yourself, and you need a support system for other people. Support systems are like the biggest thing that we need for when it comes to being what we want, for the things that we are trying to strive to do, for the impacts that we want to have on the world, that we need to give ourselves a good support system if nobody else is going to. And if people are going to give it to us, then we need to give them accept that support system. We need to be a support system for the people that are close to us, for that want us to actually be involved in their life, because people need that. People need to be told that they're proud. People need to be told and loved and appreciated for the things that they do. Like, the support system is necessary. And the biggest thing for when your own support system, you need to be able to tell yourself that things will be okay. You do and are worthy of the things that you want, that you can be that person that you want to be. You need to be able to always have that support system for yourself and other people that are in your world if that is necessary. So do not be afraid to give people other support. And especially if you want support from other people, you need to be able to give it in return, another give and take. Everyone needs one for themselves and from others. You use your discernment, of course, for when it comes to the support system. Always use your best judgment. Always use your intuition and your discernment for how that might affect you. Because the biggest thing about a support system is gratitude. You need to be grateful.
for things, for a lot of different things. Especially for your support system of being grateful, you need to make sure that you are also grateful for the things you already have, so that you can always make sure to aspire to be more, so that you can always have that gratitude no matter where you go. And be grateful for the people that are there for you. Be grateful for the relationships that you do have. Otherwise, you'd be surprised of how people might just literally like switch a moment and you're just going to be like, what the hell? But you need to be grateful for the things, the moments and the things that you already have. And that's the biggest thing. And the last and not least is connecting to inner child. Connect to your inner child. Those aspects that I am of the nurturing, compassion, and caring, I've been like that since a child. Adventurous, social, creative, and inventive. Connect to your inner child. Your inner child is what's going to help you bring out the good, creative aspects that you always need in yourself. It'll give you that safety. It'll give you those curious questions that you're constantly trying to ask. It'll make you seem like you are ready to be able to just experience life for what it is and not what you always see it to be. Because kids are adventurous. Kids are imaginative. Kids are crazy in their own way, shape, or form of when it comes to how they think about things, how they apply themselves to things, and how they keep going about things. Connecting to your inner child is always necessary. Connect to the things that make you happy. Connect to the things that are going to make you feel like that is always going to come out. Always. So like I said, all of these aspects have helped me notice a lot of myself and for others. And I hope that they really do help you too, because these are really important to me. These are important things that we all experience in life, the things that we need to improve on, the things that we need to always have is some of these aspects. There are plenty more, plenty. It just depends about the things that are really important for us to actually bring into our own lives. So, after all that, things to think about. There are just 4 simple things to always take into consideration and think about. The first one is by knowing yourself, what do you aspire to be, and how can you use it for your betterment, for yourself, for others, and the world? What do you aspire to be? What can you do? That's the most important thing to think about for yourself and anything that you want to achieve. What can you do? Life is too short. That's the next one. Why not use it to make what you want and to make a difference or an impact? Because regardless for how much that we are constantly fighting each other, that life is too short. And even if we weren't fighting each other or trying to kill each other, there's always something that's still going to make that happen. Natural selection, like just natural things that do happen because we are human. We do have things that will affect us no matter what, and life is too short to be taking that for granted. The next thing, everybody is playing their own game. Everybody is in control of themselves. Everybody is their own character, hero, anti-hero, villain. Everybody is playing the game. Not everyone experiences the same thing, yet we all go through the same concepts, just through different contexts. Everyone wants to be loved and accepted, and everyone also doesn't want to be judged or neglected. Another thing to think about. And the very last thing, what inspires you? What gives you faith? What helps you continue to keep going? These are the questions that you should be asking yourselves all the time. And these will help you. I promise you they will. So, I hope you guys really enjoyed that. This was really good for me to be able to connect to myself a lot more and the things that I want to aspire to be and do. So, I really hope that you enjoyed the effort that I really put into this. So, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to you guys soon.